Guys, the Chicken's here, back with another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, it's something a little bit different. We're going to be getting into a hero ability tier list. So let's get into it. Alright, so here's what we got, guys. I got all 12 of the hero abilities written down right here. So I'm just going to go over each one and kind of explain why the Chicken thinks it is the worst or the best. So we're going to start off with the worst hero ability in the game. And in the Chicken's opinion, that is going to be right here. That's going to be the Cluster Grenade. Now, it was tough to decide between Cluster Grenade and Crystal Critters, which is going to be the next one. But Crystal Critters, they actually can be slightly useful in healing up your, if you're using Tank Medic or something like that. Sure, you have to use a lot of them. They're really expensive, and it's not really a good option. But compare that to Cluster Grenade. That doesn't, the thing with Cluster Grenade, why I ranked it so low, is because it's also a brick works, right? Like, if you're using Cluster Grenade, you're going to be using it with, like, a spread-out army. Troop composition, like RZM, Tank Medic, spread out Heavy Zuka, things like that. And the hard thing with that is Brick tends to walk in front of most of these troops, aside from the heavies. So it's just hard to use. It's hard to use. It's hard to get value of. I would rank Cluster Grenade a lot higher if it actually took out mines, which it does kind of, but it not to the effect that the graphics show that it should. So for those reasons, I rank Cluster Grenade at the very bottom of the Chicken's list here. So next, like I said, I got Crystal Critters. Crystal Critters, just one of the worst abilities in the game, in terms of hero abilities, guys. They don't do much healing. They don't last long enough. I mean, if they were able to heal up a Scorcher from like half health to full health in the span of 15 seconds, if they were all on them, then sure, that would be great. But they don't really add, like, I'm trying to do this tier list in terms of value that you get out of spending this gunboat energy. And I mean, to use Crystal Critters once for however much GBE they cost, but to use them again and again, it's just like you actually lose value on the amount of GBE that they cost as they cost more. So it's just kind of pointless. So next up, guys, we got Explosive Charges. Now, Explosive Charges was tough to put all the way down here because I love the graphic of it when they explode. It just looks so cool. But for the amount of GBE it costs, you're better off using artillery. You're better off using a barrage. There's hardly ever a time when this comes in handy, other than when you're just trying to use it to make it work. Explosive Charges, like, by the time that you have Everspark right up there next to the defense that you want to take out, it's usually your troops are already on it. They're already taking it down. So I find when I do try to use it, usually I just waste it because I go up. By the time Spark gets up there and the rest of my troops are there, I'm throwing the bomb after the troops have already taken it out, and it doesn't do anything except waste GB. So for those reasons, I would put Explosive Charges near the bottom of the list at number 10. Number 9, we're going to go with Iron Will. This is where the abilities start to get a little bit better, at least. But Iron Will just isn't. It's just not that great. It's basically just a poor man's ice shield. The fact that the troops can still take damage. I mean, if you're getting hit by a Doom Cannon, Iron Will is not going to save you. And it's only good with spread out troops like we were talking about before, RZM, Tank Medic, and things like that. It just really doesn't have much value. You're going to be better off using your GB on shocks, medkits, critters, things like that, than you are going to be putting it into Iron Will to hopefully keep your troops alive, right? So it just doesn't really work that well. Next up, I've got the Critter Swarm. Now, this was tough for Chicken again to put at near the bottom half of the list because I love Critter Swarm. I like using it with RZM. This ability actually does work fairly well, depending on how you use it, but for the most part, it doesn't provide the value that some of the other abilities that we're going to get into do, and we already have critters, right? We can already throw out critters, so like, unless you're, I find it more helpful on Mega Crab stages, to be honest, when there's a base with a ton of single target stuff, and you can just throw Critter Swarm on top of your Everspark that already generates critters for free. It just, for those swarm kind of attacks, it does make those a lot easier, but those are kind of few and far between, so that's why I have it ranked more towards the bottom of the list. So next up, we have Second Wind. Now, Second Wind has the ability to go to level 6, And at level 6, you can actually revive Scorchers with it, so it can be very useful. It can also revive Proto Troops at level 6, which is pretty insane value for how much gunboat energy those things cost. But overall, it's not that great. It's not going to make a huge difference on your attacks. You know, if Kavan was able to actually, if his base heal rate of just himself healing stuff was a little bit stronger, then second wind would probably be used more often. But because Kavan is so weak, it kind of takes away from most of his abilities because, you know, you just get so much more value out of having like Bullet, Spark, or even Brick to an extent. Not really Brick, but yeah, it's just Kavan just sucks so much that it makes it hard to use his abilities. And yeah, second wind can be great. It's kind of specific to the attack that you're doing. Again, it's not going to help you for your smoky attacks, which are the primary attacks that are used in Boom Beach. So for those reasons, I would rank it in the middle, somewhere in the middle. Not a bad ability by any means, but just it's not great. It's not great. So next up, we have the Ice Shield. So we're sticking with Kavan here. So the Ice Shield is absolutely amazing with Warriors. It's okay with RZM. Doesn't really work with much else. You know, I put it at it's right in the middle of the list here. So the reason for that is it's amazing. You know, it's amazing with Warriors. Doesn't have much use with anything else. So for that reason, it's not any higher up. If you could use it with things like bazookas or, you know, anything else, then we'd rank a little bit higher. But you're not using Ice Shield with Tank Medic. You're not using it with Scorchers. You're not using it with RZM. RZM, it can work a little bit, but yeah, for those reasons, it's definitely one of the better abilities in the game, for sure. I mean, especially using it with Warriors, like we said, it makes them absolutely OP when they get on that HQ, and you can just pop an Ice Shield and make them invincible for a minute. So yeah, it's just the lack of ability to be used with a lot of different things is why I would rank it sort of mid-tier. Okay, so next up, this is going to be controversial. Next up, we have ranked 5th, the Shock Knuckles. Now, I have Shock Knuckles above Ice Shield because you can get so much value with Shock Knuckles. It's hard to use. It's got a high skill cap for sure. But that being said, just the, you know, especially on the Mega Crab, and you can use it with any spread out troop abilities. You can use it with RZM, you can use it with Tank Medic, you can use it with Scorcher Tank, you can use it with whatever, spread out Heavy Zuka. You can use it with Smoky Troops, kind of, doesn't really work great, but it is possible to use it opposed to like some of the other ones that we were talking about. But yeah, I think just for the pure value you can get out of Shock Knuckles, and the fact that it costs 3 GBE out of the gate, to be able to shock a whole area larger than a typical shock bomb would be able to hit, it has the ability to provide so much value that I ranked it above the mid and low tiers. Okay, so next up is Universal Remote. Now, Universal Remote, you could kind of, you know, I'm going to kind of make the same argument for it that I did with the Ice Shield, that it's fantastic in certain situations, not so great in other situations, but again, it comes down to value. That's what I'm trying to base all this on, is just for the amount of gunboat energy these abilities cost to use, how much value can you actually get out of them. And Universal Remote can, you know, you can get so much value using it in operations to take out key defenses for extremely cheap amounts of GBE. Like, you can take down a rocket launcher that has 115,000 health for whatever it costs, 6 or 8 GB. I don't know off the top of my head, but as opposed to using like 150 GB of barrage and artillery. So for that's the main reason I would rank it so high, because it does have that ability to provide just like crazy amounts of value. Now, next up I have Taunt, and obviously the way Taunt, this is post-nerf Taunt. If it was original Taunt, it would have been number 1, 100%, because it was broken when it came out. It was the best ability in the game. But even now that you can get your Smoky Heavy Zuka troops onto the HQ, you can pop off a Taunt, and for 3 GB you can distract all the defenses around the HQ, and it saves you like 20 or 30 GB of using shocks or well-timed critter shocks, and it's also just really easy to use. You just hit it once, right? So a Taunt can provide, still post-nerf Taunt can provide tons of value for what it does. So And then number 2, guys, and obviously you can use it on operations and stuff too. It's got, you know, good usage throughout Mega Crab and PvP events, whatever. You can use Taunt with a lot of different things, which is also why I'd rank it so high. So next up, we have Battle Orders, guys. Now, this was a toss-up between Battle Orders and Energy Drink, which we'll get into in a second. But Battle Orders is fantastic. You can use it with Warriors, you can use it with Zukas, and just the amount of... you know, the sheer amount that this increases the damage of your smoky style attacks. You know, you can use it with smoky heavy Zuka too. It doesn't have, you can't use it with everything. You kind of can, but it's not as great as it is with smoky troops. But it makes the smoky troops so much better that I would rank it this high in the list. And obviously operations, it's literally, you know, 99% of the time people are using Battle Orders and smoky Zukas. So and it's the same for Mega Crab. And just because those smoky style tactics are, you know, the best in the game and the most commonly used, and the fact that this adds to that the most, I felt like it provided the most value. Oh, Ash, welcome welcome to the channel. I didn't think I had those turned on, but I guess we do. So next up, the last ability, guys, we have the Energy Drink. Now, going back to everything we just said, in terms of pure value, nothing adds value like Energy Drink does, because, you know, you use your tank, grenadiers and rifles on the Mega Crab, and you can literally just keep that attack going just from spamming Energy Drink bullet. And the amount of damage that he can take in and dish out using the Energy Drink ability is bar none the best ability in the game. Nothing else comes close to it in terms of value. You know, Bullet he can keep entire compositions alive just by himself by spamming this ability. So, guys, that is the Chicken's tier list for all the hero abilities in the game. I know some of you are going to disagree, some of you are going to agree, but try it out down below in the comment section, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Going to be very interested to read that one. And yeah, guys, that is it. Thanks so much for watching. That's going to wrap up the video today. Make sure to leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative, and we'll see you next one, guys. Chicken out.